many wonders you done for us, Lord. Spreading the culture all over the world. For all the good things that you done for God, that's why we continue.
Good morning, Dominica. Good morning, Eastern Caribbean. Welcome to another Creole Heartbeat program. And we want to really big you up in a very special way to stay tuned. We have been really promoting this particular tribute. One who have really done so much for Dominica's arts and culture, the legendary Fitzroy Williams, the late great, gone to the wild beyond. But his music continued to live on, and it's a pleasure for Creole Heartbeat and Q95 FM, the big station, to pay tribute to this particular brother as we actually open the Independence season today, the grand opening of the Independence season. And my co-host Ron Lander, the producer of this particular program, is already seated. We should be hooking up with Gordon Henderson anytime from now. Good morning to you, Ron. What's up, my friend?
Good morning. What it's a pleasure to be here with you on this program, especially as we honor in Fitzroy Williams, a guy who came from my big yard.
Absolutely, and I can imagine you would have so many memories of this particular brother. We should be hooking up with Gordon Henderson anytime from now, and they would have played together throughout, let's say, a 50-year career. And Gordon would have known so much about Fitzroy Williams and some of what he did, he created together with the rest of the brothers of Exile One. They created a genre. They did something remarkable for Dominican. And those who may not recall, before the advent of Calypso, we know of Spooge, we know of ska and reggae and soul and the Motown days, Calypso. Then Dominica actually created their own genre and really put the name of the Nature Isle on the map. And what a feat that was in 1973, 1974. The brothers came together. Fitzroy Williams alongside Gordon Henderson, people like Crookie, Vivian Wallace, also Julie Morillo, and several other brothers. They came together and did something unique for Dominica Ronlander.
Yes. That was a very good innovation. And that music was colorful. It was so beautiful. You could hear all the instruments playing. And the lyrics were also substantial. So the whole musical package of that Calypso was wonderful. I remember at that time, I was in the grammar school and we used to look forward every year to get the music from Exile One, and also from Choppy was also very strong at that time. And we used to get a lot of music, and we used to enjoy that high quality of musical talent. And we need to encourage it among our young people, where you play instruments and you hear the bass, you hear the guitar, you hear the organ. It's wonderful.
And, we really have to look back at the advent of the World Creole Music Festival. You yourself, Ron, was there from the beginning. And you would have known that we actually we were looking for a name for this particular festival. It started off as a Cadence festival because we had a Cadence Calypso genre, Cadence Calypso industry. It later became Cadence and Zouk because we wanted to incorporate our French or Franco or Creole sisters and brothers from Martinique and Guadeloupe. And later, with the foundation Cadence Calypso music, we then evolved into the World Creole Music Festival with the foundation, the nucleus, the bedrock of the festival itself, Cadence Calypso music.
Yeah, Calypso was a major pillar, a major pillar in the festival.
And was also very strong at that time. And we used to get a lot of music. And we used to enjoy that.
Because of Calypso, our musical exposition was highly respected in the region and throughout the world.
Absolutely.
So it was very easy for us to start up a music festival in Dominica on the strength of Calypso.
Absolutely. And joining us is none better than one who actually was part of the creation of that particular genre, who actually named the genre Calypso music. Let's move across to Paris and say good morning to Monsieur Gordon Henderson. Are you hearing us, Gordon?
Started off as a Cadence festival because we had a Cadence.
Here that Gordon is getting a delay. I'm not sure. Are you hearing us, Gordon?
Cadence and Zouk because we wanted to
Because I
incorporate
can hear
French or Franco or Creole.
I'm not sure what is going on, but let's see. Just turn down the volume for Gordon. But let's wait to see. Are you hearing us, Gordon? Are you hearing us?
Just to
It doesn't appear that he's hearing us. I'm not quite sure what's going on, but we're trying to hook up with Gordon Henderson from
Yeah,
Paris,
Cadas Calypso
who
was
has,
a major
been a pillar. He's back on the lineup this year. He was the
loudest
iconic figure
festival
at the beginning of the World, the Creole Music Festival. One would recall that his image was at the center, which once again would signify and endorse how important Cadas Calypso was to the World Creole Music Festival. That image of him on a keyboard, was what really gave the world the knowledge that Dominica is really serious this time, and we are going to really invite our friends from the Franco world, from the Creole world, to come down and celebrate with us. Let's see if we have Gordon this time. Gordon, are you hearing us loud and clear?
Yeah, I've been seeing you and hearing you very well. Hello, Run. Hello,
Good day, good day.
Alex.
Ambassador Wadik, Ambassador Wadik,
Oh,
hardworking ambassador.
Excellency.
Hey,
I
what's up, my friend? I'm getting a feedback, Gordon. I'm not sure if you ain't some feedback for your speakers, but how are you, my friend? How are you?
Well, I'm doing fine.
I could see that. How is the madame? How is everything in Paris?
Everybody's okay. We're all okay.
All right, and we are actually going to discuss Fitzroy Williams. You would have known him from a schoolboy. You went to the St. Mary's Academy with him, and give us, tell us who was Fitzroy in your mind, and we will head to Exile One and the days of Exile One because you would have known him as a student at SMA.
Yeah, I first met Fitzroy in 1973. I don't know if you were born yet.
Yes, a toddler.
Okay, at the St. Mary's Academy, and we connected immediately because of music. Now, it would take many hours to speak about the man, Fitzroy Williams, but we will try to concentrate a little bit about the musician, Fitzroy Williams. So, at the St. Mary's Academy, there was something called a glee club. I don't know if they still have it. It's this American school um, had this somewhat of a choir, and they identified Fitzroy immediately to send him to the Christian music school to study the violin. But for some reason, probably because he had previous experience with pan, the steel pan, he didn't stay very long on the violin and moved to the guitar. And at the Glee Club at SMA, we began our first music group called the Rebs, Rebbs. I figure we didn't want to call ourselves the rebels in the Christian Brothers School. At the Rebs, we didn't play anything Caribbean. We played what the Beatles played, what the Rolling Stones played. So to go quickly, after high school, we took separate routes, and Fitzroy, I kind of hesitate because to speak of Fitzroy, many speak of Exile One and Cadence Calypso. But Fitzroy is much bigger than Exile One and Cadence Calypso. Exile One is a tiny period in the musical history of Fitzroy. After St. Mary's Academy, Fitzroy must have played with every band in the Roseau area, I think, and I repeat, I think, except the Swinging Stars.
You're correct. You're very correct.
You know, he played with the Diamonds. He played with the Silver Tones. All of these were significant groups. Some of them toured, went to St. Lucia and um, Guadeloupe. He played with the Boys and Them, one of the groups that recorded. That's where he first recorded or attempted to record his hit song, Hit Me With Music. I don't know if they recorded it because it was later done with the Gaylords. Now, he played with some young guys, the Wooden Stools. He was older than them. And I mentioned the Wooden Stools because that's why in the period of 60 odd years between Fitzroy and myself, when I met him in 1973, remember, we met for the first time in 63. We did our little things. 10 years later, I met him in Guadeloupe in 1973. And he told me that he was leaving the Gaylords. And that coincided with a time that I had 2 hit records in Guadeloupe with Levy King. And I told him, well, I need musicians to do an album. And he told me, well, no problems at all. I can get you these musicians. So I brought Levy King to Dominica. They played at the, I hesitate to say the Grotto. I don't know if it was called the Grotto then, or it might have had another name. They played there, or we played there because I was part of it. It was November, close to National Day. I still have a picture of Fitzroy and the rest of the Wooden Stool guys in the Botanic Gardens. He brought me all this bunch of young guys who he told me, these guys are promising musicians. They have no recording experience. He had, because he had done records with the Gaylords. And this is where we recruited these young guys immediately after National Day, brought them to Guadeloupe and did the first album. They didn't want to go back home. And this is where Exile One was born.
Okay, and you continued from there because Exile One actually created a genre called dance calypso music later, because I would imagine you continue to play and then head to Paris when this possibly the greatest genre ever was created by Dominicans in Paris. Tell us about that.
Yes. I'll say quickly because I'd really like to put the emphasis
On Fitzroy.
on Fitzroy.
Yeah.
So we went to Paris, and by accident, because we were not Creole people, Fitzroy had some experience in the Creole thing with the Gaylords, because we must give credit to the Gaylords for having recorded songs like Man John Leve, Mete Marie Mwen Dehors.
Tibaco.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to say Timaco, but I heard what's the name from Point Michel doing Timaco, so I don't know if it's another version or something. But Gaylords had Creole songs. So Fitzroy had experience in Creole music. But none of us wanted careers in Creole. And this is very important to know what happened in Paris with these young guys, and we called ourselves Exile One. These guys were from
Why
the
Exile
River.
One? Gordon, why Exile One? Why?
Well, Exile One, because at the time people called themselves the Merry Men, the Tropical Islanders. Debs wanted me to call the group Gordon Henderson and something else like Byron Lee and the Dragonaires. And I was about 23, 24 at the time. I didn't have the mindset of any Gordon Henderson and anything. So we looked for a name that represented the Caribbean. We were never an insular type of people who wanted to stick only to Dominica. Of course, Dominica is included, but we wanted to be Caribbean. And Crookie, the lit, came up with the word exile, because we are involuntary exiles from Africa for the large majority of us.
Yeah.
And then I hate to say but I added one because I thought we were number one, young guys, we were number one. And also one because I thought exile was too much of a cute name, that we were the only ones to have it. And I was right, because there's another rock group, I think from Japan, that's called Exile. So we said Exile One. So not exile from Dominica, but exile from the motherland, Caribbean people.
And how important was Fitzroy this set up this new movement, this global phenomenon?
Fitzroy was very, very important because Fitzroy and myself were the two old men. You must try to put everything in context. Fitzroy and myself, we were, as I said, 23, 24. I was born a few months before him. And the guys were average about 18. They had not traveled that much. They had not. And the Creole, because remember, we are at the stage where we were in Paris and we were forced to make people dance. So the only experience that they had was we played with Haitian bands in Guadeloupe. The most important one was one called the Gypsies, with Martino on guitar and Tico on drums. Tico of Magnum Band, that you will know very well.
Yeah.
Aquatics and Ron. I know Ron knows everything about that as well. And so we got the guys to creolize our very repertoire, and they did it very well. And this is how Calypso was born. So Fitzroy was instrumental. And people need to know something about Fitzroy, and probably why Fitzroy, because I would really like people to know that Fitzroy played with practically every band out of Dominica as well. He played with Experience Set. He played, and when I say played, he played and recorded. That is while Exile One was existing, you know. There was a time that he had reason to leave Paris, and he moved back to Guadeloupe. I think he was freshly married. He brought Style with him, and they played with Experience Set for a while. So Style and Rock can talk about that period. There was also a period when he moved to French Guiana and played with a guy who is still alive called Danny Play. Danny had a group called Danny and Co, and they recorded many albums. Fitzroy was instrumental in assisting people like Anthony Gussie we will know that Anthony Gussie had a kind of mini hit, "I Mama," and Fitzroy went back to the studio, rearranged that thing, so you can compare the two recordings. And now Jeff and Gramax, you know, the new generation, Fitzroy was instrumental.
Yeah.
Now Fitzroy is a guy, my association with him was purely musical. We met, he used to like my cooking, so I used to cook Creole food for him in Paris. Sometimes Roach, his good friends Roach and Ibis would come along. We've done that on numerous occasions and watch World Cup football and that sort of thing. But I would like to say that Fitzroy was a very flamboyant musician. And I think he got that from the Gaylords. The Gramax were very flamboyant, much more than Exile One. They would wear this large clothes and platform shoes and all that sort of thing. And
The Block Hill.
Yeah, well, in Dominica, people called it Block Hill. People called it Block Hill. But you would see Gramax. So if you look at old pictures, and Fitzroy was like that. As a matter of fact, there is an Exile One album called Face au Public, where so many things come to mind. Unfortunately, Fitzroy was absent from that. So if you look at that album, you look at the back, you'll see a large picture of Fitzroy with the Gaylords at the back, because he was not there when we recorded that album. He was sick, maybe, allegedly, but it was carnival time. And when it was carnival, I heard him telling you,
Thunderbirds.
it always coincided with sickness. So he was very, and that's not the first only time. Huh? When we did Fresh, if you look at the music video of Fresh, you will notice that Fitzroy is not there, but he has been absent. Now, with Jeff and the Gramax, he was quite at home because Gramax being that flamboyant group. Another thing, there are so many things I want to speak very quickly because I don't want to monopolize all the thing. Fitzroy might have been one of the first musicians to play the keyboards in Caribbean music standing. So you can look at Swinging Stars and all these other groups. The keyboard players were usually seated behind the keyboard. And I can remember a journalist from French Guyana telling me that he was so amazed when he interviewed Fitzroy and asked him, "Why do you play standing?" Because he had not seen that. You know, in the Caribbean, guys used to be sitting and playing sitting. And Fitzroy told him, "When I work standing." You know, and Fitzroy likes to speak about his background in Pan, and he played for a considerable amount of time with a man from St. Kitts who lived in France, who played Pan in a small ensemble, and Fitzroy played with him. And his name was, because he too has passed, called Cyril L'Aventure or Aventure. I don't remember if there's an L or no L. But he was from St. Kitts. And Fitzroy we used to always joke about Cyril, because Cyril was a very popular panman who in fact was not very good at playing pan, but he had a lot of jokes and sing old calypsos. And Fitzroy used to tell us, you know, Cyril left the countryside in St. Kitts and told his family that he was going to Bastet. So they thought he was going to the capital of St. Kitts, but it was Bastet, Guadeloupe. And that's how he ended in France. You know, so these are some of the little inside things.
What was his association with the Indian Ocean?
The Indian Ocean, when, well, two things. And this is why I am very happy to have worked with Fitzroy, because Indian Ocean brings me back to Hit Me With Music. It wasn't a hit down there. But when I met Fitzroy when I met Fitzroy again in 1973, after our 10-year here and there, and he in his way, I thought it was unfortunate that his hit Me With Music was not registered anywhere. He didn't have copyright and that sort of thing, because Fitzroy was not concerned about the business of music. If you listen to a documentary, it's on YouTube. It's called B World Connection. You will see Fitzroy saying that in our partnership and collaboration, he didn't care too much about understanding what I was doing in the business aspect. He left everything in my hands. So I'm not drifting from the Indian Ocean. I encouraged him to re-record Hit Me With Music. So it's on the album where he was absent, the Face au Public, so that he could enter SACEM. I say that because after that, I always encouraged him to sing, because I always like to play the keyboard and sing. But I noticed that Cornell Phillip has just stepped in
Yes.
a little while ago. Hi, Cornell. And I have told the same thing to Cornell. Why don't you sing? Because you know, these guys who play the keyboards usually have very good musical ears and they can sing. Not only the keyboards or the guitar. We know of George Benson was never meant to be a singer, but an excellent guitarist. And one day, somebody didn't come to the studio and they had paid for the studio already. So he sang on an album, and most people believe he's more of a singer. So I used to tell the same thing to Fitzroy, but why don't you sing? And I figure he must have replied, why don't you produce me? So I produced his first album, and the hit song was Lucifer. And this brought him as a solo artist to many places. He did many places, but more particularly to the Indian Ocean, where often he had as his background vocalist people like Joël Usul, or, if I'm not mistaken, Jocelyn Berroa as well.
As so his background vocals.
Background vocals, because he was the keyboardist and vocalist. So this is why I say, speaking of Fitzroy, is much more than Exile One, or because sometimes, and I hate to say this, when we focus on Exile One, sometimes we end up discrediting others.
Yeah.
And I might mention Julie Morilla, for example. In the promo for this show, there are songs that Fitzroy played,
Yeah.
but it's not part of his legacy per se, because Julie is the one who did the harmonies. Because I would like to explain quickly how our musical collaboration was at the time. Because
Okay, just take a pause a while, Gordon. Let's just welcome Cornell. And
okay,
we'll come back because I really wanted that combination because we have seen some of that combination in music right after you, Fitzroy, Cornell, and others. And Bird in Flame style, you see that collaboration. But fingers, Cornell, fingers, welcome.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
And we are doing it again for a fallen legend, a fallen hero, Fitzroy Williams. We just heard from Gordon, and soon from now, Gordon will talk about your
I
collaboration. How
won't
they
say it's
actually.
fallen though.
Well, I listened to Gordon a while ago, and he was speaking only in past in present tense.
Present tense.
Present tense. For Gordon, it was still present tense. I didn't tell him anything because he was always talking about Fitzroy is. But you would have been like a student. He was like a father to you. Tell us some, how that relationship with Fitzroy.
Well, I remember when I first met Fitzroy. That was first spoke to him, I guess. That was at the Kadas festival that we had. What year was that? What it?
The first one?
The first one. We were practicing on Bath Road.
Oh yeah, I recall. Yeah,
that is the one with Jeff and everything.
That was 2006.
2006. That is when I really started to, get to know Fitzroy. And I must say he could be very intimidating.
Yeah.
Because Fitzroy, as we all know, is a perfectionist. And me coming under his wing, I was like, wow, to the extent that after I finished that first rehearsal, I called Fred and I told Fred, I don't think I can do that. Because it was a lot, I felt like I was being thrown into the deep end. And I'm seeing Fitzroy looking at me, he's kind of under eye kind of thing. And but we started talking, and I got to know Fitzroy very well. And he was not only a mentor when it came to music, but life itself. There are people that you can look up to. There are people that he has toured much more than I did and gone so many other places. And we were so similar that he always had a story to tell me, or always had some life lesson to teach me and stuff like that. But he's a person that was, from the time he got up in the morning, he knew exactly what he wanted to do for that day, and he went to it. And he was that go-getter kind of a guy. I remember him for that for sure.
In terms of, you said a while ago, a perfectionist. Not very many of us go for that perfection like Fitzroy, because he had that ear. He knew what he wanted, and he knew what he wanted to hear. And I have been at some of his rehearsals, and while I, who thought that I knew music, thought the sound was sounding okay, for Fitzroy was missing something. And I said that to mean even the recording you did with Jerry Lloyd, hit music.
Right.
Fitzroy still feel it could have something else.
Yes.
Well, I find it was a flawless, execution of good musicianship, and that's what he's about. You always go for the ultimate perfectionist, and not very many of us.
I'm not too sure if you really understand that. Let me explain that to you, right?
Go ahead.
That Heritage, the album that Fitzroy did with Dice.
Yeah.
Fitzroy came to me and wanted me to produce the album. But Fitzroy would come in the studio and know exactly what he wanted at every part, every instrument, what he wanted that instrument to do, what he wanted the melodies to do, what he wanted. He knew. I just had to follow his lead. Everything was done on paper.
Yeah.
Everything was done on paper. Cornell, I old already. I know I remember everything. From the time I get up, I get up in the middle of the night, I write in on my notes. He would come in the studio and everything, he knew exactly what he wanted. Things that I wasn't hearing in two instruments play something, and they were not really cool, and they were not really meshing together. And he would come back and he'd tell me, okay, change that note to that. Let's play that inversion instead. He was very meticulous about anything that he did.
And he still felt he could remix that album.
Yeah.
After this album done, man, he tell me, man, two things I have to do is remix this album and the album with Philip Hosford. He felt he had to him. It wasn't. He did the album, but he could have done it better. And that is the essence. Gordon, does that remind you of it, Troy?
One thing before Gordon come in, one thing I always appreciate about him is his candor. He also always candid. He always straightforward. He told like he see it, but not in an offensive way. And in the background, he always had a smile.
Yes. He spoke his mind.
He spoke.
I vex with you, Alex. I vex with you, Alex, but he's still smiling. Gordon, but does that, what Gordon, in terms of that perfectionist? Okay, when you listen to Exile, in one song, I heard a little thing, I will tell you the song after. But when you heard Exile and knowing what the technology was then, and you listen to Exile's sound, I remember Senator telling me, let me tell you something, if music was something they call perfection, Exile was the epitome of that, because he tell me when you see they're repeating as B plus an Exile song, is they have to get it compared to the other Kadaslim souls. Was it that sort of hard at it to make sure that you guys got it the way it was supposed to sound? And how important was he in putting the sound, the music together and arranging the music for Exile?
I laugh because the way you describe the Exile One music, I don't know, you're probably talking from a fan standpoint.
No, I'm talking about the rhythm. You see the rhythm? I can hear a Gual rhythm that no other Kadastim so band had, and I give that kind of Exile had that kind of rhythm. You see that Julie Morillo and Fitzroy combination.
But these are two different things that you're talking about. Julie is probably one of the best. I heard a reggae producer saying that Julie had the best. I can't remember how these reggae people call their chick that he had heard in reggae music. I agree with you in terms of that rhythm. You know the song that you use on the promo, Can't Slip. So when you listen to the Creole guys we call washe guitar.
Yes.
Julie is practically the best of the world. But that's not what I'm speaking about. You're speaking about perfection. Exile One is filled with mistakes, and Cornell will tell you that, because decades after, Fitzroy, myself, who worked with Cornell and younger musicians, at that time, Fitzroy was not a perfectionist. He became after with experience. So if I can play a ton of Exile One records and show you mistakes, because me too, I grew. There are lots of mistakes, but that doesn't mean that it didn't make the people dance, and they still stood the test of time.
For the ordinary listener, it is not very easy to recognize. And it is mainly because, and I continue to say, because of the melodies, the strength of
but you're melodies. You're right.
And that is one of, I think that is why people may wonder, why do I love Kadas that much? The melodies, the sing along. You would listen to the songs and you would be humming and singing, and you don't even realize you're humming and singing, compared to today's music that it is more for chant. But the melodies of Kadas, so to me,
that was the time. That was the time. And even some of the I wanted to bring about a while ago in my collaboration with Fitzroy. It is important to know the context of how people wrote songs back then and how people write songs today. My collaboration with Fitzroy, we've had a few hits together. Travail pour rien, Fresh, Un Piquet Point, There is one that went international because it was covered by the world-renowned Bob Sinclair. People in Dominica don't care too much about Viola and those kinds of things. The collaboration that we had was Fitzroy would handle what we call the harmonies, the chords. I don't touch his chords. I come with a melody and the lyrics. And usually I bring that at the very last moment in the studio.
So what happens before?
Before we would record everything. So the band would go to the studio, put down all the tracks. And this is where Fitzroy would be making sure that the chords are correct, that the bass player played the right notes and that kind of thing. And I will come, sing the lyrics with my melody. I am very hopeless at learning songs. I think from the time that I started working with Vikings and writing my own songs, I just forgot all this Otis Redding and James Brown and that sort of thing that I used to do. And you can test me anytime live for the public and get Cornell to put the most difficult harmonies and tell me just sing and compose on the spot. So that's what we did. A lot of the songs, one day we can do an experiment and see that there are many errors, because sometimes I decided I will not do another take. I'll just leave it because I missed out a word or something might come out spontaneously. Like there are two songs where I caught myself saying "Asuplage la agozie," but the second one, it was Asuplage somewhere else. Gozie came out and I left it, and that sort of thing. So that's how we work. That's how we compose together. Absolutely. And if he came, now this is Exile One.
Yeah.
In Exile One, now when I came with my harmonies, my melody, that's me. Now I say that for the benefit of the young musicians. Today we have a shift in how people compose. People make what they call a redeem or whatever, and 1, 2, 3 people might come and add stuff, and you are a man of melody, but the rhythm thing doesn't really call for melody. It's more like rap, it's more like chant, it's more like talk. So one may do that, and if 3 or 4 add, then they might decide. With Fitzroy, I never worked like that. So I just wanted to bring in context how we collaborated. And as I said, some of the songs became hits and resisted the test of time.
Absolutely. Ron, you wanted to mention something about the management?
In terms of what in terms of, we've got some other persons that we need to deal with.
So we
see
some calls.
Yeah.
Well, so they can call. They can call. You can actually get them to call because we're taking everything one time. But just also dropping in is Ian Jackson. And by the way, Ian Jackson was given the responsibility to write a book on the life of come across Jacko, come across, and possibly you could just lend a mic with Cornell. But Ian Jackson was charged with the responsibility of writing a book on Fitzroy Williams. Where are we now with that particular book, Ian Jackson?
Yeah, well, basically, we are right on. Well, I wouldn't say on schedule, but at least from my part, I'm on schedule. Little shipping difficulties.
The book is complete.
It's complete. Yes, and the book should be out the same week of independence. I wanted to come out the week prior to independence, but just day before yesterday, I got a message from the shippers, the Amazon, Kindle, and the book should be out for the 28th. So I hope to launch it on the 29th, the day after, at least to clear customs and everything, and do it on the 29th of it was supposed to be scheduled for the 21st. So I'm 1 week late, beyond my control. But it's a book. It's a book I think that every Dominican who is into music should really purchase, because one of the things I pride myself on. I've dedicated my life, like you, Wadix, in the music, but I've dedicated my life to document Dominica's history as far as music and art is concerned. And I've been doing that for 37 years. And that was how I got in contact with Fitzroy first, with respect to, he realized that he was ill. When I saw him ill and so on the first time when he came to Dominica, I think that was during the Papa Creole activity. I spoke to him, and then he told me about, his impending situation of his, his health and so on. Asked me to come and visit him at his home, and he gave me directions. I came there, and he said, Jackson, I want you to write something about my life, so that when I go on, other young people can know. I say, why me, They tell me, I know you write it all the time on the paper, so do something, Fitzroy. So I say, okay. So next time he came back to Dominica now, I saw him with Jerry and a couple of guys, and was pushing on the wheelchair, And I spoke to him again, and he seemed very serious. And well, you do come and check me, man, whatever. So I went to check him at his home, and we spoke. I spent around almost 2 hours at Fitzroy home, just chatting about things, taking my little notes, bring my little tape recorder, my cell phone, and listening to him and so on. And I really felt inspired, and I felt I'm indebted to him to have that done. Because when a man of that pedigree is asking you to do something, to document that, I felt I had no choice but to do it. I also took the opportunity to have some photographs, The book will incorporate some photographs also in the book. He spoke highly about his times, even in Los Caballeros. Right? That's a band name. And then even
with Philip was for and
boys with them in Boys and Them, and other things. It's growing up in Bath Road. Well, Cornel wouldn't know about that because it was morning. Or in Bath Road, you see that's his place where you hang out. He told me a few very interesting things in the books that I'm sure people would like to hear. For instance, as a teaser, he told me that when he was very young, he was very much involved in sports, but he found that he couldn't keep up with other guys. So he always when he reminisce, and he said, well, maybe that is one of the reasons why at the latter stage of his life he developed a heart problem. Probably long he had a situation and he did not know, because he found that when he was playing, so he found solace in his keys and so on, and playing his instrument. Of course, his first instrument was not really keys. And if you can see that's what the cover of the book is going to look like.
Okay.
One person's cover of the book, that's what it will look like. Yeah.
Okay. Let us see if we can take a caller. I think we're expecting Brohim and Dice and a few other people to call. Good morning to you, Creole Heartbeat, Fitzroy Williams Tribute. Good morning to you.
Man, Wadix.
Good morning.
Yes. So I hope I get to talk to Wadix, because I'm listening to you and you're talking about the giants.
Yes.
You got the one big giant over there in France, Mr. Gordon Henderson.
Yes.
He just said something there, Wadix, before I forget that one, because I wanted to say something else. But I want to recognize what he just said. That sounds very well. He said that a lot of Dominicans didn't really understand or appreciate that song. But it is, listen, let me tell you, this is one of the baddest songs on the album. Because the reason why I say the kind of intro on that song, the drum intro and the effects in the background sound like a synthesizer with that kind of run in there. That makes the song one of the baddest songs for me. And then it come in with the arrangement. Let me say to Gordon, right? This is the second time I hear him on the radio. And Wadix, you must keep bringing giants like that, because you put in Dominica's history in perspective. It's not just talk about, we have to recognize culture and pattern. It has to be more than that. The background, the roots of the music, the formation of the music, the contribution and the tenacity of the musician. Remember one time you did another show with and other people.
Yes.
Talking about Fitzroy just close before he passed, right?
Yes.
He attended to ancestry. Right?
Yes. Za and Afimate. What we try to do, you see, what we're trying to do, caller, without cutting you, is while we celebrate independence, while we celebrate the 25th anniversary of the World Creole Music Festival, it is important to remember some of those who really pioneered And Fitzroy is one of those that have really done so much for Dominica's music, and for dance lips of music, but only also for carnival. He was also a carnivalist, and would really favor the traditional aspect of the Thunderbirds. So we are trying to actually highlight those things so that we can teach our people about our own ancestors, our own heroes, and Jacko, about the book, as we try to get Dice and also Za and also Brohim. How much will the book cost?
Yeah, it will $50 or $55. There'll be a pre-launching on the 17th of October, because I want to tell persons, especially persons that attended the SMA, like Cornell and so, that the book part proceeds will also go to the SMA for that particular book.
Because he himself would be a past SMA student.
He was a past SMA student, and that is one of the things that are taken up. Also, something I've observed that I want to tell the public that Fitzroy, I don't know if Cornell experienced that because he worked with him a number of times. He didn't like me to call him a keyboardist. He says he's an organist.
What's the difference? What's the difference, Cornell? What's the difference, Fingers? Go to the mic. What's the difference? I only know
playing an organ is totally different from playing a piano.
Oh.
Well, when you say keyboardist is a broad term.
Yeah.
But he would tell you, I'm not a pianist. I am an organist. An organist, the way how you handle the organ is totally different. From how you handle it.
Well, myself and Ron wouldn't know that. Do we have Dice on the line? But
one thing here though is that Fitzroy came from my big yard. That's Bath Road opposite the Botanical Gardens.
Right.
And I knew Fitzroy from a long while. And two of the major things that Fitzroy did, and young people need to pay attention to that. You need to identify the talent that you are blessed by Jehovah God as early as possible. And manage the talent, harness it, and develop it to a very high level. Fitzroy's talent was music, and he developed his talent in that area. There was a situation where his mother said, Fitzroy, vous parlez à l'école. Tout ça le fait, c'est jouer musique. But that was it. The second part, with the help of Gordon, he was able to manage. Yes, you are very good, you develop the talent, but you're supposed to manage the resources that you generated from the talent to take care of yourself in your later years. Fitzroy was able to build his house and have his transport and was taking care of himself in his later years until he got very sick and he had to move to Martinique.
Well,
so this is very, very important for young people. Search for the talent that God has blessed you with, manage it, develop it, and when you get the resources from that talent, ensure you invest those resources in such a way that you can take care of yourself in the later days.
Yeah, well, this is one of the things he mentioned that is written in the book, that he spoke about how he tried and invest himself into his music and take the seriousness of the music, his copyrights and so on. And he really...
give Gordon credit for that.
Yes. He said guys like Gordon and so forth, and he called a number of other persons that will be mentioned in the book. And he was saying that basically a lot of the guys, when they started playing music, they were playing until person like he and Gordon. Of course, Gordon transferred the information to him, and of course, Mark Murray and so on. And he got into the real business of music. And he was very happy about it because he realized in his latter years, this was what paid his hospital fees, he told me. And so young musicians listening, it's not just a matter of getting what they say, likes, and less likes, have 1 million likes and whatever, but you have to put your business in order. And also, Fitzroy Williams was a very, astute listener to people and things. So, and as I say, a no-nonsense person. And all that basically will come out in his book. In his book, What is Life. I also took the opportunity to speak to his son, and also his wife also died. Okay, there's someone on? Okay, so.
Okay, and by the way, Ron, we know that his son is not well at the moment.
Yeah.
So we want to send our prayers to David Fingers. We understood that he got a stroke. We understood that he got a slight stroke. But Fingers, and we'll come to Gordon in a while. What would be, one of your biggest lessons that you would have learned from playing with Fitzroy? And I'm talking in terms of you as one of the creators, Fitzroy, one of the creators of Dominica's dance slips, so we've got none the rest, and you in terms of one of the creators of the bouillon genre.
Well, something Fitzroy always told me, and Gordon actually mentioned it, that it wasn't back then, it wasn't perfection, but it was passion. Fitzroy tell me it was passion, like the passion you could hear the passion through the music, So sometimes we'd be playing something and we would say, Fitzroy would tell us, okay, play it that way. And Fitzroy would say, no, that's what you're hearing, but who tell you is that we want it to play? You understand? So something I always learn from Fitzroy is that when it comes to the music and what you have done before, don't have regrets. That is what you did. That is what your passion allowed you to do at the time. That is what your being produced. So you move on and you develop yourself. But that is what it was, and that is what made it great. Well, whatever Fitzroy did, it was all about passion and of the time. So he would always tell me, Cornell, don't worry about being better than your last project. Just do what you have to do, and everything will always come together.
Gordon, I want to come back to you because this is a very important juncture where we'll get to the callers have been really trying to actually integrate with us. But Gordon, to me, what you guys have done, we have Dice coming in, but what you guys have done before we take in Dice is something unbelievable. To create a genre is something unique for a country. And that genre stood the test and brought Dominica's name far and wide. I mean, globally to the four corners of the globe. Do you think we in Dominica understand the magnitude of that treat? And do we respect people like you and the rest, Fitzroy and the rest, who did something like that for us? Because we now can see so many offsprings in your last song. You talk about Calypso and the whole family relation. Do we understand the magnitude of what was done then in 73, 74? And 50 years down the line, we have that World Creole Music Festival, 25 years, hinging on that creation, that authenticity. Do we understand and respect that, Gordon? We'll take Dice in a while. Dice, just hold on.
I don't think that Dominica understands, I think it's understand, or
respect,
but with good reason. Had it been now in the internet age, it would have been easier. I will try to bring that into perspective. When Exile One became famous, and when I say famous, very famous when we look at what's happening. People in Dominica were not aware. When Exile One went to French Guiana on tour for the first time, we saw thousands of people at the airport. And I had been to French Guiana with Viking before. I thought it was some flights coming in or going out. We didn't understand that thousands of people came to see Exile One. It was a phenomenon. But people in Dominica didn't know anything about that. When in 1976, Exile One went to Haiti and had some of the largest shows that Haiti had ever seen across the country, Dominica didn't know anything about that. Exile One came to Dominica. I don't know, I can't remember how much time, but many months after that Cadence Calypso and Exile One was popular, because it was a problem. We had no sound systems. We had to travel with the sound system, rent a plane and all kinds of troubles like that. This time it was difficult. And remember, Dominica was not independent. Dominicans were not very proud of being themselves. When we went to St. Croix and St. Thomas to play, that reminds me of a joke. I went to Antigua and all the Dominicans were talking like Antiguans. We were not proud of ourselves. And I remember telling a guy, but you sound like an Antiguan now. And he responded, Tal! That is what it was. And Cadence Calypso only became popular because the concert and dance promoters and record producers like Debs and later Martinique thought that this was an indigenous form of music like ska or merengue or whatever in Dominica. So they came to Dominica, and I recorded many people like Stonebird. I call him Stonebird. Bird Bellany, and they gave reports of having gone to Guadeloupe and Martinique, and they were forced to play card and calypso, which was easy for them because all you had to do is play calypso and throw a little Haitian in it, and that's card and calypso. But Dominicans can do that.
Dominicans can do that.
Even St. Lucia, which is a sister Creole island, they do not have the swing.
Yeah.
Same
it's
swing.
The Dominican swing. And the Dominican swing is varied. I always hear you speaking about how singular Midnight Groovers is, but I always equate our music to our Creole. Our Creole is very diverse. You know, in Grand Bay, people don't say moi. They don't say tête. Moi. Similarly, in the music, they place the accent or the I almost said sonorité, but the sound differently. And this is what made cadence calypso a Dominican thing, because it is us.
We have
I will say quickly, I discovered my Creolity through cadence calypso. I was never proud to speak Creole.
Wow.
When I speak English, I call it Creole. Huh?
When you speak English, you say Creole.
Yeah.
Creole. Monarch on the line here. Good morning to you, King Dice. Do we have the King Dice in the building? Good morning to you, King Dice. Okay, we are trying to get the King Dice actually who worked with Fitzroy Williams. Okay, we'll try to get King Dice with but Fingers, do you feel that Gordon mentioned that particular respect is not available because of the okay, we have Dice. Good morning to you, King Dice. Good morning, King Dicey. Are you there?
What? Hello, I don't hear nothing.
I'm hearing you, but are you hearing me?
Hello.
Hello, the King. Are you hearing me?
Hello.
Okay, there seemed to be a little technical issue there, but let's just try to. Are you hearing me, the King? Dicey.
All right.
Are you hearing me, King Dice? Okay, he heard you did something that he was hearing. Are you hearing me now, King Dice? You hear me now? Right, what's up? By the way, congratulations, the King.
Everything blessed.
Good. Congratulations, Mr. Dennison. Joseph.
Welcome on board. Welcome on board. What is on board first, too? Welcome on board.
Mr. Dennison. Joseph.
I was always Mr. Dennison. Okay. I just was King Dice.
Okay. But the King, you also worked with Fitzroy. Fitzroy chose you to actually sing that Heritage album of his.
Yes.
And you collaborated. And tell us about your relationship with him.
Yeah, well, Fitzy, original Fitzroy. Yeah, we miss him, you know. Yeah, the guidance. But Freddie, I'm surprised Freddie not on the show too, because Freddie is a man where Fitzroy is concerned. You know, they had a nice relationship. I got joy through Freddie, you know, and But I think, as I said before, Fixture used to always put his keyboard on my calypso, especially the slow ones. You know,
That's in the studio by Freddie.
The organ. He used to put the organ. You know? So he used to always say, as Freddie, what my partner do his thing already now. So Freddie always used to tell me that, you know, and I couldn't wait to meet Fixture. And then when I met him, you know, it was just an easy going thing because he's a straight shooter, and I think he likes straight shooters too. You know, and I myself consider myself a straight shooter because I don't have time for lies and trickery and everything there. So you know, you say it. I always say you say what your truth. You speak your truth in a manner that it can be comfortable for the listener to accept, but you have to speak your truth. You know, or the truth that existed. And Fixture was that type of individual too. I believe in his lifestyle. And as I was listening to Cornell, and I myself deal with him already in his music also. As you say, the perfectionist that he was.
So how was it? How was it doing that particular album, Heritage?
Well, Heritage is that too, you know, because Heritage is, I believe, in my calypso journey. I realized Fixture was always in the background because his music, and as some of the other guys say, he always involved with people that good in whatever they are doing. You know, he would link up. You know, so after we get to know each other and all that, you know, he realized, well, actually, Fixture wanted me. I don't know if he had the plan for the album already, but I had a plan of mine where I wanted to be part of SASM too. You know, because SASM is a musical company, and you know, in Guadeloupe or the French territory, and for you to get in, you have to have certain songs. And I think I didn't have enough, you know, on the Creole side. So when he came in with that idea, me myself talked to him about what I want to do too, and I think one of them songs he even give me just to add to it with what I had, you know. But doing the album and choosing me for the album was the best, was like an honorable thing, you know, because I'm a young youth in the business where the music is concerned. Me myself, I like my music, I like to dance, I like to free up, I like to enjoy myself and sing the music too, you know. So Fixture now when they see when they kind of bring me into that vibe, so it was like an honor, you know. It's like a big man, Freddie there, I'm dealing with Freddie there, but I always respect my elders. That is something. So for a man like Fixture to want to involve with me and you know, and to do the album, it was really an honor. But it was like a wow kind of a moment, you know, and I really appreciated it.
Would you continue to sing Kada Sleep So Dice?
Yeah, man, I did it because I was listening to Gordon when he was saying about the versions. Nowadays, people just do versions and they don't have the melody. Where I can understand that because where the creators of music is concerned, I see, you know, I think Ra was one of the young ones that's still there. But nowadays, I can see people using their instruments, bam, 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 and do a thing and make a rhythm. But the cadence, no, seeing that the world is changing and the cadence is needed, I think we should really put the new word into it. So we have more singers out there than the cadence producers where music is concerned. So I believe now we should really have more of the cadence rhythms coming out. Even Cornell can make one, you know, and let different people sing on it, and it can promote the thing, and you never know, it will create more and producers of the music, and then somebody can go with his own track by somebody because we don't have a crew like our Fixture and Exile One and them have their crew. You know, and that would put the bass, that would put the rhythm like it's a band, and then and Gordon would just go and put the lyrics on it. We don't have that like that much like that. So, but we have a lot of singers, and we have a lot of people doing their individual thing, and the world is a technology world right now. So we could make these things happen, and we need more. I believe we need more producers of cadence music, like every like a rhythm coming out because you have to take example of great nations, and I think Jamaica is one of the big nations where music is concerned. And one of the reasons they do that is they have these things, they come like that is because they have them things they do, whereas they produce a rhythm and they have different singers that drop on it, and then the promotion of the music itself extend, you know. So I believe cadence in the love I have for Carlos, because that's what I do it. Oh no, I asked a part of mine to send me a little rhythm just so I could write a little Carlos and see if I could record that somewhere in New York where I am there. Send that down for Mr. and let that come out for the independence. But when I was listening, I think, well, maybe the rhythm might not be the right way to go, and maybe I should call somebody like Bird. I say, Bird, hey, let's create a rhythm.
Why not call Gordon? Why not call Gordon?
Gordon, well, if Gordon was doing these things, he would produce evidence of it, a lot of it.
Gordon, I'm asking Gordon.
Create something.
Dicey, I'm asking Gordon directly. Would you be interested in creating something for King Dice, Gordon?
Well, listen, before he answer, Gordon tell you he was the lyrics and melody guy.
And Cornell is the new Fitzroy.
Cornell is that. What we talking about? Cornell is that guy. I don't know if Bird have a studio. I don't know if he playing different instruments. You know, Bird.
Yes. Bird in Coptal, yeah.
So he might be that guy too. You know, Gordon might give me some ideas on. I can send the track for him, and he say, well, this melody would go better in that melody. That them type of things. There. But we need to ready if we want to hold Fitzroy legacy, because Fitzroy was a man who used to deal with the youth too. Fitzroy was never a man that dealing with. That's why he ended up dealing with me. He wouldn't deal with any youth. But if he find the youth, a certain youth man that have a positive aspect to him, where growth is concerned and music is concerned, he can deal with him. So we now have to learn to deal with the youth in that aspect also. You know, where the Cardas music is concerned. And trust me, we will get more Cardas music every independence. If it had a Cornell or somebody that producing something and say, I say, look what we have now. You can do on that. Cardas we want. Send that there. You know, and then we have a whole scene. And every year we have different thing. And that's how the promotion of the thing can happen, I believe.
Yeah, man. Thank you very much. Thank you very much, the King. I mean, this is so inspiring, and it is so heartening to hear that you have endorsed this genre and willing to continue to sing in the name of Fitzroy, to continue the legacy of Fitzroy, which is one of the things I want to ask our panelists. How do we think as a nation, and I think as a nation now and even further afield, how we can continue to respect Fitzroy and our elders, because we seem to have a problem that when they are gone, we forget about them.
Yes, Wadix. On that particular subject matter, I have two major recommendations. That one, and this is for the management of the World Creole Music Festival, that Fitzroy is honored during the World Creole Music Festival number 25. We find some way of honoring him during the festival. Additionally, I would like to see the pioneers of the festival, the original pioneers, be recognized somewhere or the other. We've got quite a number of them around. I won't call names, but they should be recognized. The second major recommendation, I saw Fitzroy did some good work with Dice in Armitage, in having a tribute to Jeff Joe. That's so wonderful. I would like some musicians, and I wouldn't, again, point fingers. I would like some musicians to come together.
I am pointing fingers. Corner.
I would like somebody to come together and pay a musical tribute to Fitzroy. And if we can get the first version out for the World Creole Music Festival, that would be very wonderful.
One singer or several singers?
Well, they will decide.
Dice, you definitely on it.
Dice already endorsed.
You know what I say? True. I mean, that is a thing that can happen to promote the Cardas music.
Yeah.
And next way we can honor Fitzroy is try to get back them paintings somewhere that they can be.
Yes.
Them paintings that were on the beachfront there. That was a simple.
That was great.
Way of honoring that.
Well, I must say, I must say, myself and Brohim had discussions with the CEO of Discover Dominican Authority, and she has planned to give us a particular section of the perimeter of the World Creole Music Festival, so fans can actually take out photographs, up close and personal photographs of some of the legends. Ibrahim was supposed to join us, let's say, for a minute or two as we kind of wind down. I'm not sure. Yes.
That is going to be teared down after the festival.
Well, we're looking for a permanent home, and we're actually looking for a permanent home for because where we had it at the Bayfront was ideal, but the Fisher folk down there felt that we were trespassing, although we had proper permission from Mr. Benoit Badwill, and the authorities didn't intervene until it was vandalized. As a matter of fact, one of the portrait of Mikel is damaged. That's why we had to remove them. And we have them in storage, and we are still looking for a facility, looking for a place where we could house them. We could actually showcase, because we have to do so. If you go to Jamaica, you see a whole Bob Marley museum. These are our Bob Marleys, you know.
Seeing their people on their buildings, on their thing. They give the great artists certain areas to put things so you could honor your people in the simplest form.
We are not good. We are not. I mean, I must say it. We are not good in doing those.
No.
I mean, Fiala was supposed to be all over Roseau, all over the country, billboards. You know what I mean? That's how I see things.
Dicey, 1 minute. Dicey,
run up something to ask you before you leave.
1 minute. The idea that you raised there is an idea we've been considering, my brother and I. And we were wondering if that image of Fitzroy, after we use it in the World Creole Music Festival, if we would place it somewhere in the intersection of Bath Road and Queenberry Street in the entry to the Botanical Gardens. Because that's where his roots lie. He spent most of his life in that area.
Oh, you mean just before you enter the Botanic Gardens? By the toilet?
Yes.
By the toilet area.
But away from the toilet.
Well, I'm just talking about the area.
That area, that general area.
Basketball.
Yes. See what we can do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, that is what Dice is talking about, a place where tourists,
but tourists go to gardens all the time. Tourists going to gardens.
But we can discuss that. We can discuss that.
Yeah.
But then before I leave, because we just have 4 more minutes, guys. Gordon, I mean, and this is really touching for me, because I really don't believe we in Dominica we do enough to honor people who have really given the blood and sweat for us. I don't believe we do enough for that. But then how you think, or one of the ways you believe that we can continue the legacy of Fitzroy and other Kadas, Lipso, sporting icons, other musicians who have done well for Dominica, cultural elders who have done well for Dominica, how can we really honor them and allow our children to know about them?
Education. And when I say education, they ought to know who is who. We don't have a lot of time, but I don't think people really knew who Fitzroy was. And I know for a fact that most don't know who I am. I must thank you. You have done so much, but I don't think.
So you think, because I believe, because one of the things, as a matter of fact, Creole Heartbeat is doing, and I can say it, we're planning a school road show.
Mm-hmm.
And we plan, as a matter of fact, we were planning to do a few editions before the World Creole Music Festival. We have written to the Ministry of Education. I spoke to the PS about it, to actually endorse it, where we can go to the schools and speak about, forget the CO, because apparently something is happening where the independence now is being overwhelmed by the CO, and we're forgetting the real essence of what the whole independence is. But to bring some sanity back and actually speak to the children, the school children, about our roots, you know, and our music, our traditions, what makes us who we are. Because it appears that our youth now only think of when they were born, and maybe just 2000 Dominica, all of a sudden just jump out and evolve, and all of a sudden nothing else before that matters.
Let me interrupt you a little bit. It's not only the children, you know. Let's take, for instance, the government, the cabinet. Okay? If you quiz the cabinet on people of my generation, I'm not talking about me, so this includes Fitzroy, maybe one or two might be able to pass the test.
You're right.
So it's not only children.
You're right.
And I'm willing to write the test.
This is serious. And Jacko, you are,
Yeah, quickly, I just want to say very quickly, we have very little time. Education, you know what education is. I believe in that, Gordon. I believe in that, Dominica. Education. Because not just the photos, which is will tell us something if we know about the person. Because there's an instance 2 years ago I experienced at SMA where I taught, where guys were hovering over Ophelia Olivache Marie, or Lady of Song, trying to get crests and different things for school in September. And they never knew. I had to sing around 4 songs of Ophelia for them to realize, oh, that is the lady that's singing that. You understand what I'm saying? So that's a problem.
But look at the response the children gave myself and Gordon.
Yes.
When you brought us
brought you all to school. Yes.
They
yes.
actually wanted autographs of their shoes.
Yeah.
Which means we are not doing enough in the education. And maybe in the revolution we're talking about, we should actually teach our children about.
And one of the ways we have to document it, that's how we get to know about our African roots in terms of our hieroglyphics and so on. We have to document on paper. We have to get back to reading. And that is why we have this Fitzroy William book. So I hope we can start from there and move on. And by the way, I did write to the DFC asking them, how can we use that book, utilize this book this season? And it's 6 weeks. I've not got a response.
Okay. Fingers, corner fingers, as we say so long for now, and I wish you the best for the rest of the season.
Thank you very much. 2 things I want to point out. We talk about the young ones. The young ones are not to blame, because the young ones, as you said, are open. They are very open-minded to anything cultural, to anything artistic, and you'd be amazed the kind of things that they gravitate to. You know, my daughter was actually listening to Exile One, and we were like, "What?" You know. So, another thing, we're talking about honoring Fitzroy. You realize that his birthday is on Festival Saturday.
Wow! So that's the perfect time to run it. You knew, man, run. You knew. So that is a perfect opportunity for, let's say, DDA to do something. So you suggested something with your fingers. Perfect opportunity. Yes.
Just say.
Yes. So Ron, final as we.
Yes. In closing, I was very happy that we can do that program for Fitzroy, and then we can be recognized during the festival, and the musical tribute can be done. And Fitzroy came from my big yard. Fitzroy was one of my role models in the big yard. And I looked up to Fitzroy like I look up to cricketers and footballers. And I'm very happy we'll be able to do that. And let's see how we can identify other persons that we can recognize in a similar way.
Godfather, you ready for Saturday? That same Saturday? Is that same Saturday we're referring to, you know?
That same Saturday, we can dedicate the performance to Fitzroy. Okay. And Ron, I don't know if Ron can hear me?
Yes, he can.
Yeah.
Yes, he can hear you.
I want to thank Ron for one day I was walking in the rain. He too was walking in the rain with an umbrella. And the man gave me his umbrella. And I will not forget that.
We were going to the Fitzroy dedication show for Heritage.
Yes.
And because of my respect for you and what you did for the World Creole Music Festival, Gordon, I extended that courtesy to you.
And I will never forget it.
So the dedication for Fitzroy, at least your performance will be dedicated. I mean, this is big. This is breaking news. The dedicating the performance of Gordon Henderson Saturday night on his birthday. That would have been his birthday. So this was another Creole Heartbeat program on QFM. And the Creole Heartbeat was really proud and privileged to bring it to you. And we are really trying to educate the nation on areas apart from the polemic and the politics and the C1 and the bacchanal. Bring a level of consciousness, a little balance to our audience. On behalf of Creole Heartbeat, Anthony and Jerry Williams, may God bless you and may God bless Dominican. The News Major comes up next on the big station.
Very good, very good.
Papua wete ba moun plela yo moja kite dapi. Appreciate sa yo kafe ko yo apami.